We're here with Andrew Gaus for our Week 5 NFL Bets of the Week segment. Andrew, thank you for taking time to talk to us.
Of course, boys. Excited to do this.
Andrew, it was a tough week last week for a lot of people, and the bet of the week was a tough one. The Lions didn't perform the way we thought they would. A couple other games too. The Patriots covered the spread. We didn't think that was going to happen. So, what were your thoughts on last week?
Yeah, I think we kind of joked about it. Like I felt really good about last week,
Yeah.
and sometimes that's the worst feeling in the world. I felt so good about the Lions. I watched a lot of the game. They had like 2 or 3 red zone turnovers, just kind of like beat themselves in that game and almost came back towards the end, but kind of dug too big of a hole. So that was a disappointing loss. And was super excited for the Bucs game. I figured Tom Brady would come out and show out, and I kind of think Mac Jones outplayed him a little bit in that game, which was kind of surprising. The weather probably made it a little bit harder on Brady, but yeah, it was just kind of a disappointing week. So hopefully I can get back on track and get back into some green.
So 2 weeks ago, you gave us your top 3 bets. Last week, you gave us your top 4. What do you have for us this week?
I got three good ones, 3 that I like. And I'm going to play to the base a little bit here because I'll start off with the Steelers -1 at home versus the Broncos. This pains me to say it, but I really like the Steelers this week. I think they bounce back. I think Big Ben has a good week. The Broncos are a weird team because they started 3-0 playing 0-3 teams. Ravens come to town, beat them up pretty good. Teddy Bridgewater looking a little shaky, banged up. I think the Steelers win at home. I feel good about it. We'll see. Number 2, I'll go with the Los Angeles Rams going to Seattle. That's the Thursday night game this week. Rams took a step back this week when Kyler Murray came in and beat them up a little bit. It's -2.5. I like them by a field goal or more in that game. And then the third pick would be the Raiders -5.5. They're at home versus Chicago. Justin Fields just got announced that he's a starter. Doesn't really move the needle for me, him or Dalton. I like the Raiders here. Raiders played maybe their worst half of the season on Monday night. I think they bounce back like they did kind of in the second half there, and I think they handle a very, very average Bears team.
I like those too. I don't know if that scares me or that excites me. I'm not sure now, but those are some
me
really
neither.
solid ones. Really solid ones. Would you touch the Lions this week at +9 against Minnesota?
I think I will. And I don't know why I have this fascination with the Lions. It'll be 3 weeks in a row that I'm going to throw money on them. But I do. I really think they're a better team. I think Goff struggles under pressure. That's where teams get to him. But I think when he has good pocket protection and time to pass the ball, he has a really, really good arm and he's accurate. I'm going to probably take them -9. I like that line. I think the line started at -7.5. So we got money kind of going towards our favor here a little bit. So I like that. Hopefully they don't let me down this week. But I also just don't think Minnesota is as good as people are giving them so much credit for. The line was, I think, going 1.5 versus the Browns last week. Probably should have taken the Browns, but it's tough out there. But I think I'm going to ride the Lions one more week and see if they come through.
So the only undefeated team left is the Cardinals. They host the 49ers this week. They're 5.5-point favorites. Do you like them to go 5-0 or maybe even cover the spread?
Yeah, I think it's a game you keep your eye on as the week goes on. I think Jimmy Garoppolo is kind of questionable, didn't practice again today. I also think Trey Lance is a really capable backup. I think he's going to be a good player in the future for the 49ers. It's definitely a game I'd like to see kind of who's in the lineup, maybe like a last minute pick. But if I had to go, I would probably lean toward the Cardinals. 5.5 scares me a little bit just because I think that NFC West is so tough that it could come down to a field goal. But yeah, the Cardinals look good. I mean, it's really hard to bet against Kyler Murray and those guys. I think they've only really had like one half this year where they've kind of looked like an average team, and that was at Jacksonville. And I mean, Kyler's kind of the odds-on favorite right now to win the MVP. So it's a tough one, but I think I'd lean Cardinals.
I made a prediction last week. I said that the Steelers were going to win and they were going to win by a touchdown. That didn't work. That didn't work at all. I'm going to make another prediction this week, and we'll see if this one works. I bet you San Francisco wins this game in Arizona, and there will be no more undefeated teams. And I really think that's the case because I thought that last week with Seattle going in there and then beating them. And I think that Arizona's due for a letdown week. You've had a big win against the Rams, and we'll see what happens then. But like as we saw with as you said with this Thursday nighter, you have the Rams going to Seattle after Seattle just got a big win, and Rams got it handed to them. You think they're going to win against Seattle? So it's a very similar thing. It's a very similar cycle, and I think that's what you're going to see a lot out of that division.
We'll talk about letdown
I
game,
agree.
Alex. The Titans last week looked bad. Do you like the Titans at all, Andrew?
Yeah, I think it's 4.5 versus Jacksonville. Everything makes me think the Titans cover. The only concern is probably the wide receiver corps. I think with AJ Brown and Julio Jones both sidelined last week, that really hurt the Titans. I think if they're healthy and at least one of them's able to play, that kind of gives Henry a little bit more room to run. I think it shakes up the offense a little bit better for Tannehill. So it's hard to bet on Jacksonville right now. I think with
They're a mess.
Urban Meyer, a little scandal going
You think he
on,
makes it
Trevor
through the year?
Lawrence. Looks like, whew,
What are the odds on
I
that?
think he
What are the odds on
will.
that?
I don't know. That's a good question. I might have to come back with you guys next week and find the odds on that. But yeah, I think it's kind of crazy what's going on down there right now. I do like Trevor Lawrence a lot. I thought he might squeak out a win last week, but yeah, I think I would lean Titans. I think it's kind of a psychological thing, like Alex was pointing to. Like all three of the bets I gave you to start off are teams coming off losses. I kind of like playing into the motivation factor a little bit, so that could be the same way with Tennessee.
It feels like this year, momentum isn't a good thing for any of these teams.
Yeah, it seems like Arizona may be the only team that's really been able to keep momentum up through this first 4 or 5 game stretch. So yeah, I mean that makes it harder on the bettors for sure. But yeah, I mean, I guess maybe we're going to try out our new little philosophy here and bet on some teams who had disappointing losses last week and see if that turns a tide here.
For the Steelers game, as you previously mentioned, the over-under for that game has been betted down to 39.5. I mean, that's as low as I've seen it in a long time for an NFL game. It's similar this week with the Patriots and Texans. Do you see any of those either of those games going over?
I think the Steeler game has a good chance of going over. I'm biased, like I'll be the first one to tell you, but I really think the Steelers offense might come out a little bit here. It seems like in Ben's career, especially, like obviously I'm older, I've seen pretty much all of his games. Like when sometimes Ben's at his best when people are all over him and the media doubting him, kind of get on his back. And this year has been probably the worst of it. But I feel like he could take advantage of kind of the criticism and have a big game. I think being at home might help, have the crowd support him a little bit. But I would probably lean that one being the better chance to go over. I think Houston with like a almost third string quarterback in Mills and the Patriots offense just isn't very dynamic. That's a tough one, but I guess I would lean toward the Steelers just because I know the team a little bit better.
Do you have any prop bets for this week?
I have one for you, and it's kind of going against a previous bet in a sense, but I like DK Metcalf to score a touchdown this week, I guess Thursday night against the Rams. DK always plays well at home, always seems to have like a great game on like national TV primetime. He's plus 105, so you can double your money with a little bit more if he scores at any point during the game. I like that a lot. I think Russell loves him, especially on the deep bomb. So that's going to be my go-to prop bet for the week.
Another prop bet question for you. James Conner's had 2 touchdowns in the last 2 games. Do you bet on him again this week to get touchdowns? Feels like he always gets those runs from the 1 yard line to get those touchdowns. So a prop bet touchdown bet doesn't seem like a bad idea to me.
Yeah, I think, and I know how biased you are on this one, Ryan, but I like it too. I think he does a really good job in the red zone for that team. And that's such a tough offense to control because you have to account for Hopkins going for a back corner fade. You have to account for Kyler Murray being able to scramble at any point, and he's almost like a third option. And he's been really good at running it through the tackles. So especially on short yardages, he's been great. And I know it's kind of tough for us Steeler and Pitt fans to see him kind of flourishing down there in the desert, but he's had a great year and he's kind of proven a lot of doubters wrong right now.
This will be my final one, but this is for the Sunday nighter. A huge game, obviously. Bills and Chiefs. Chiefs are favored 2.5 points. What are you thinking?
I'm thinking I'm going to stay away from that game. And if anything, probably take the over, even though it's already pretty high. Man, that's going to be an awesome game. The Chiefs are clearly not as consistent as the Bills. Yeah. The Chiefs defense just scares me, whereas the Bills feel like a more complete team. Obviously you kind of have that sense that Kansas City's going to have one of those nights where they kind of break out, but I mean, the Bills are just running through people. I guess I would lean Bills, especially with the points. Maybe you could buy a point or tease it, but I think it's going to be a close game. But man, it's hard to bet against the Bills. I mean, we joke here a little bit like the Steelers are the only team to beat them, and now we see the Steelers. But man, the Bills look good. It's really hard to bet against that team right now.
Is that for
anything else, Brian?
Yep.
I got
else. I feel like you covered it all, Andrew. Another good week. Looking forward to doing it next week. Hopefully this one's a good week for you.
Yeah, let's hope so. Hopefully a little bit better. I got to get back on track after a little ugly week last week. So I don't want to give your listeners any more losers. So